Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. I'm doing a YouTube hop. I'm doing it with some other really cool artists. It's going to be called hashtag handmade flowers across the world. So these are some super fabulous artists, so please check them out. I'm going to put their links and that hashtag down into the description of this video. I tend to kind of be a more fly by the seat of your pants fabric artist. I do a lot of other stuff, but I come out of the mixed media realm, and I'm used to doing things intuitively without a plan and doing a page from start to finish. And so that tends to be the way I roll in the fabric stuff as well. I have a loose idea of what I want to do, but some of the things may change. If I decide something's not working, I will cover it over or do something about it. Anyway, this is really my inspiration. I made this. This is a fabric cluster I made a few weeks ago, and I kind of was inspired by some stuff I saw on Pinterest, but it was real free form, not real circular. So I like this idea. I want to try to do something kind of similar, but more circular, to make more of a flower. But then I lean towards hybrids, so I think I'm going to combine a few different ideas. I think the one I'm doing today is going to be a combination of hand stitching and a little bit of gluing. But I'm going to combine a few different ideas, but I really like the fluffiness and the texture and the fact that it's kind of similar tones, but not the same, because I'm really a texture person through and through, and then I'll see how I can do what I can do about beads. But I'm going to start out with a square piece because I don't know for sure what I'm doing, but I'm not going to put all this stuff on the sides, but I do want to put a bow on the bottom, so that's why I'm starting with a square. And chances are high this thing will be entirely covered by the time I get done. If not, I'll trim it back, but I'll be surprised if I can keep to this shape. First thing I would like to do is I'm thinking about the center, because I want some of these clustered beads. They might not be these same colors or look exactly like this, but I'm thinking to put something textured in the middle. And so I'm going to loosely glue it down. I think I'm using that gauzy stuff you get at Halloween time, except that instead of being black, it's actually an ivory or unbleached color. But I like the texture, so you really can do the same thing with cheesecloth. This one is just more wild and unruly, and that's probably the reason I like it. It'll add some texture. So I'm going to start by gluing this down. I'm not 100% sure if this base is actually big enough for what I'm thinking here, but if it's not, then I will just glue another piece of felt on the back. So I'm going to glue this down loosely. This is just kind of to hold it a little bit initially, and then I'm going to take it to the machine, and I'm just going to kind of scribble stitch around this to hopefully I won't lose all the texture, but it may not show anyway, so it may not matter. But I'm going to scribble stitch. Okay, I stitched it down. I'm going to cover around some of this, but in fact, I might trim some of this back because I know at this point it's going to be, that part's going to be covered anyway. I'm going to try a few layers. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm wanting to try pale yellow, which I've never put this with these coffee dyed fabrics before, but I'm going to try to do a couple layers of ruffles. And so I have this coffee dyed muslin, and then I have this yellow, pale yellow here. My idea was, because I don't know how to do things the right way, so I just make them up as I go along. Basically try to make a double ruffle, and so I was just going to do a running stitch that I can gather down the middle of this piece a little bit on this side, and so that I think it'll make this gap open and give me two ruffles. So I'll give it a shot and I'll see if that works. I'll just do a little bit of stitching on screen, and then I will have to pause the video because I want to keep this video so it's not too terribly long. So I've got some doubled up, I don't know, it's probably like a quilting thread. It's variegated, but it's not going to show anyway. So I've got a knot in this. I'm just going to run the needle up through here. Let me move some stuff out of the way. Okay, so I've got my knot here. I'm just going to kind of loosely fold this and run this back and forth. I will gather this. I'm basically going to glue this around my base. I want this, I think, on the outside, and then I will try a ring of this yellow, and then I'll see how this goes. I'm still wanting to use some of those little cheesecloth tufts or something in the middle, but I don't know if any of that's going to show. I just hope it does. Okay. I'll gather this up a little bit, but then I'll probably have to stretch this out a little bit as I go along to get it to the right tension I want. So I'm just going to keep going down like this. I guess I will have to measure it because I don't want to cut my gathered threads. So I'll just keep going, and then I'll figure out about how long I need this. Yeah, I want this gathered more. That might be too much. Let me try this. I'll see, because I guess I was thinking I'm going to have to keep going. Maybe it will take the whole piece. I'm just going to see how long I need to make this and kind of loosely measure around this, because I don't want to, once I get this part gathered, I don't want to cut it and lose my gathers. It will be glued down once I get this part ruffled, but it's not even, but I really don't care because I'm thinking that the yellow ribbon or the yellow fabric, this is part of a yellow sheet I tore down, is more narrow, so I think I'm going to make the inside layers more, a little bit shorter fabric anyway, so it'll kind of tear. I don't know what I'm going to get. I just like to make things up. Because I can't seem to make two things the same because I can't stop the experimentation part of me. Okay, I'll spread that out again a little bit. It looks like I'm maybe about halfway down, so it might take most of this piece. I want to tie this off when I get to the point that I think I don't need anymore because I can't cut this once I've gathered it. Oops. Okay, I think I have it. I'm going to go ahead and tie it off. I can always, you know, rearrange my ruffles a little bit, but I've got it going around basically like this, and I think that'll be sufficient. So, okay, so this is what I consider the front, I guess. So I'm just going to go back here and tie the back of this off. Let me bunch this up just a little bit here. Okay. I don't know the proper way because I don't formally sew. Oops. So I just stuck my needle through a little piece of fabric back here to get my loop. Probably a better way to do if you know how to really sew, but all my stuff like this gets hidden, so I don't really worry about it too much about whether I'm doing it the proper way or not. See if I get that needle ran through there. Okay. Okay, got that. I will cut this. I'm going to cut this part off on the outside of that. Now I will glue this down. I'm using Fabri-Tac because I don't want to mess with the hot glue gun, but especially since I may or may not stitch something on here again by machine, but I probably won't. But I'm just going to glue this down. Oh, that's the underneath side. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can squish this down a little bit because of that piece. Although this piece I'll probably just tuck underneath something, I guess. Let me start with the little flappy end here where it's got a little bit of excess fabric. I will start gluing that part. Got to keep looking at make sure my threads on the underside are not. Okay. Oops. I'm just going to go around the perimeter. I don't necessarily care if it's a perfect circle. I'm very asymmetrical, so circles are very challenging for me. I just kind of do the best I can. And I actually feel better for some reason if it's not perfectly symmetrical. It seems to be more my style, I guess. Alrighty. That is going to be a little bit wonky. I do plan on putting a bow or something on this. I'm going to stitch the ribbons down and then tie it that way once I get on there, because I'm not good at making freeform bows. So that part that's a little wonky, that's probably where my bow's going to end up being. So it is not perfectly symmetrical, but that's seems to be the way I normally roll. So I'm gonna pause the camera and do the yellow one off camera so that I don't have to make this video too long here. I haven't made my ruffle yet. Because you know, as I said, I'd like to wing it. So what I'm gonna do is I cut this lace down a little bit. I ripped the edging off of it. I'm going to glue this down on top of this, and I want to make it so that the edge of the ruffle sticks up slightly more on the back of this, which I'm not sure if this is the front or the back. I think it's going to be the outside. I still want to double this over, but I want the back edge to stick up a little bit with this lace on it. So we'll see if I can make this happen right. But basically, I'm going to glue this down, and then I will do the same concept that I did on the other. And this is Scotch Create glue stick. It works really, really good on fabric. I don't need a super awesome hold. I just need kind of a good enough hold, because basically I'm just going to fold this over and then stitch this. Yeah, I want this raised edge on the lace facing this direction, because this other side is the side that's going to be folded up a little bit, so that hopefully I'll end up with a yellow ruffle and then a ivory lace, or not, I guess it's not ivory, more ecru color, but the over top of the yellow. Now I will fold this up like this. Hopefully this works. My plan is to put it on like this. So anyway, let me go ahead and get this part stitched, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have a couple things going here. So I got this little ruffle done. It feels like that's the part that's glued. I'm not sure which was the front and back. It looks like I've got a knot on one side and a knot on the other, but I'm going to cover a little bit of stuff on the inside, so I think it doesn't matter. But basically, no matter which way I turn it, I have a border on this now, and I do think that part is kind of cool. So I'm going to glue this down. I want to have a little bit of this showing because I really like the way that turned out. My inside is going to get smaller. I don't know if anything is going to show at all, but it was still fun to try it. So I'm going to start gluing this down. Really on this part, you make it as full or skimpy as you want. You can have it heavily ruffled, or you can have it just kind of loosely ruffled. That's what I like about these kind of things. It's totally flexible. You do it the way you like it. So for this, what I was thinking about, because I have this yellow gingham too. I normally you take this, because normally with this particular style, like I did on here, you kind of, and these ones are real haphazard. Everything I used in here is very sheer, except for this tea-dyed muslin, or coffee stained muslin, I guess it is. But for this is not two-sided fabric, so I'm thinking about doing it different. But normally you go like this, you just kind of crinkle it up or something, but usually I go a little bit offset, and then you fold it again this way so that you get these different points sticking up. I probably didn't do that on here. I think my tea-stained muslin is really wrinkly, and I was just kind of capitalizing on that. But I think all I did, and I probably will hand stitch those actually. I just crinkled it up and shoved it in there, but I wasn't using anything like this. I was using, except for the muslin, everything else was a much thinner and sheer fabric, and so it was real easy to do it. This one, I was thinking about using the smaller square and not doing it exactly like that, but putting the I think this is coffee stained cheesecloth and going, okay, I can't remember what I was going to do now. Like that. No, I think I was going to go to the inside somehow. I think I'm just doing that. Okay, I'll stitch one down and I'll have to cut some more pieces and prepare here. But I kind of like that look. So for this, I don't want to go too far inside. I'm going to put beads and stuff in there anyway, although it doesn't hurt to put cheesecloth. But so I'm probably going to run it up a little bit through the yellow layer around where that stitching is at anyway. So I'll just crinkle this up a little bit. See, I was thinking about going like that. Oh, I know. And then if I don't want that much white showing, well, I do have another option. I can actually just throw another piece of cheesecloth on there, but I could also just bend this little piece down. This is how I do things. I just kind of figure it out. And maybe this won't show at all, but it's experimental because that's how everything I seem to do is a experiment. Really, for this, I'm thinking 4 pieces, and I'm probably done with that layer. Let me get some more pieces cut. So all I do is cut. All I do on cheesecloth. Cheesecloth lasts me a long time because it's what I do. I just snip off little pieces here and there, and then I stretch this out. I just kind of distort it and make it look raggedy, basically, so it doesn't have that clean cut look, I guess. Okay. I got a little tiny stuff showing there, but it is not a lot, but I think it looks interesting. It's pretty crooked. Actually, it's almost heart-shaped. Oops, I'm a little bit off camera there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and knot this on the back, and then I will find some beads. I might add a little bit more of that cheesecloth in the center there as I'm beading, but I want to put some cluster of beads in the middle. Okay, I'm ready for the beading part. I tried a few things. I really love these because it's got the sparkly stuff in it. I was really thinking about trying some of these in there, but I just don't like them as good without the rhinestone, I guess. It doesn't look bad, but... So I'm going to do this, and then I think I'm just going to try some little seed beads or something. These are a little bit tricky to stitch in, but... And I can... If I'm not... And, of course, on all of this stuff, pretty much... The stitching part is totally optional. Even on these ruffles, you can try to glue them. You would probably end up with something a lot more flat and less dimensional than what I have if you were to do that. But pretty much all of this, it is totally possible just to glue. I just like the extra security of the stitching, I guess. And not having to worry about whether the glue's going to hold. I dropped another piece of that cheesecloth in the middle here because I really think it looks best if it's on top of the fluffy stuff. All right, so that one's secure. So now I'm going to try going, maybe I'll go around these, and it might hold the fluffy stuff down just a little bit so it's not quite as unruly. I might use some little white beads, but these little ivory ones are usually my favorite. I was actually going to try these green ones, but the holes are really small in them, I guess. Anyway, so I would have had to have changed needles, or I do have a tool where I can kind of hollow the center out and make it just a little bit bigger, but I'll save that for another day. And then these, just like I did it on this, well, yeah, there are some little tiny, this one doesn't have that many tiny beads, I guess. That one has bigger beads. I had done some others, I guess, that had some smaller beads. With the little seed beads and all the fluffy stuff, I find it better to actually put 2 or 3 on one strand. I haven't tried these pink ones, so I don't know if they'll go on here. And they will not. So these little ones have little teeny holes, so I will not be using those. Oh, I do have some green ones I thought about, though. I do have these, but I'm not sure I want that much color this time. I didn't get yellow, I guess, because I haven't used yellow for a really long time. All right, so you get the idea. I'm just going to keep staggering these around different places, and I will, oh, I'm not showing it on the camera again. I will stagger these around on here a little bit more, and then I will come back when I get my beads on here. I started with a square, so my flower's not quite round, which is pretty normal for me. If you start with a round circle, you get a pretty round flower, but mine went a little wonky because I did have a square, but I like wonky, but I also like dealing with it. So I'm going to add a little bit of stuff to mine. I'm going to start, what I wanted to do is I want these leaves, that's going to kind of help make it more flower-like, I guess. But I don't want to use them like that. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and use some of this on the leaves. I'm just going to trace around this and glue it on top. I want to actually cut it a little bit smaller so that hopefully a little edge on the leaves show. So I'm going to just cut, oh, I'm off camera, sorry. I'm going to cut around this and then trim it down a little bit more and glue it on top, and then I will stitch it on the machine. Okay, I'm going to go stitch this and then I will be right back. Okay, here's my leaves. If I didn't mention it before, these are little embellishment leaves. You can usually get them in a package. I probably got mine online at Amazon, but a lot of times you see stuff like this at the fabric store. These are pink ones, but they're like satin on one side and like this little soft velvet on the other. But I covered them, of course, with this fabric because it kind of brings the yellow in. And I just stitched around the outline after that. So now I have my 3 leaves. And this was, this is a crocheted piece of edging. I like taking these and then just using the points in different ways like this for interest. But because my flower is so pointed down here, it just seemed like it needs something else to make it, to go ahead and make it be more purposeful. I am going to stitch a ribbon on this, so this part's not going to show. But I want to glue my leaves on. Okay, where's my 3rd leaf? Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to glue 2 down on this side. I'm going to kind of glue them behind the flower. There'll be a little, I'll just glue it to the flower and then I can just add more glue, I guess. Because I'm probably not, I am going to tack with the machine this down when I put those ribbons on. And so that's probably the only thread that's going to go through this, but hopefully it'll be enough to catch some of this at least. Oh, I do have this point down here too, which I can probably use to sandwich this in a little bit. Maybe. Okay, go that way. And then I got that. And I can always flip this over and add more glue later if I feel like it needs it. So that's how that is going to go. I still got a thread in there. Okay. And then I will glue one on the other side. It looks a little out of balance right now. I think I'll see if I can pull this up more. I don't like them out that far apart. Maybe that'll help. It's a little bit better. Okay. Now I'm going to glue this down, and then this will get stitched across here when I put those ribbons on. Here's the tricky part. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. Oh, that's actually not too bad. Let's see. I think I need to lay it down the way I think it goes. I think I would like a little bit like this. And then I'll just flip it over and stick my glue in there. Okay. All right. Now, I cut 3 ribbons. I did 2, one of this more, I don't know, I guess ivory or ecru color, and then I did 2 of the yellow. And so basically you can't see there, I'm still off. I'm holding these in the center basically, because I never get them quite the same length. So I'll just find the center, and that's what's going to get stitched down. And then I'll tie my bow after this. So I put these together, and then I'm just going to stitch it right down the middle a few times. I might go across this way a little bit first with the machine to kind of hold this down a little better. And then I will put this on there, and then I'll tie the bow. And that's what I will do. All right. I went under this with a thin layer. You can't see it on that side. I went through here with a thin layer of one, just stitched across this one time to kind of tack all that stuff together there. It probably didn't catch all the leaves, but it caught the ones on this side, I think. And then I stitched down the middle of these ribbons to kind of hold it, so that way I can just basically tie my loops for my bow now. And then then I just kind of tweak this stuff and get this lined up the way I want. Of course, you got to figure out which thread or which end goes with which loop. I think it's that one. And I'll trim these down a little bit. There's my flower. It's a little bit more than a flower. It's more of an embellishment with a flower on there, but there's my wonky little flower. It has a lot less of this than I was thinking because I made my square too small. It's more ruffle and a little bit of stuff in the middle, basically. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and please do go check out everybody else in the Flower Hop and see all the amazing creations. Thank you so much.